even more with rebates up to $20,000 on select sizes. Make the smart call to Anthem Steel today. 800-557-8656. That's 800-557-8656. 800-557-8656.
Welcome back here to the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio with the one and only new reality show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not 21 Jump Street, no. We're talking about the Manettis, ladies and gentlemen. You heard of the Kardashians? Forget them. The ratings are mediocre compared to this show with Nancy and Larry Manetti.
It just dawned on me that Jimmy did 21 Jump Street.
Our guest, James Whitmore Jr.
James Whitmore Jr., but that was Johnny Depp.
You directed Johnny Depp?
Oh yeah, I knew John when he was a young guy. That was really a lot of fun creating. We did a lot of shows in those days, you guys.
Yeah,
and I did a lot of 21 Jump Streets and worked a long time with John. And he was a great guy, a crazy man then, and he's his career is just extraordinary. It makes you feel so grateful to be. And that's one of the things about this job, Larry, that's been so great for me is that I'm a guy that loves acting and loves the craft, and I've been able to work because of the TV game with a bunch of young guys. With a bunch of young actors on their way up, just starting out, from the guys from Jump Street, the guys from Dawson's Creek, the guys from 90210, one show after another where these kids, who a lot of them went on, had extraordinary careers, and I could be there at the beginning and make it comfortable for them to try their stuff and stretch out a little bit.
That was great.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Well, you were like the papa.
It was a pretty good deal. And John was an amazing guy even then,
Yeah.
We used to talk about it all the time, and John would say, I'm not going to do a part that anybody else could do. I'm just going to do parts that I'm the only guy that could do. And he's made a career on that.
Now, did they shoot that up in Canada?
Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Richard Grieco, I think he was on there also.
Richard went on for a little while, and then he branched off to doing another show called Booker. And the producer of that show, the line producer, was in her first job ever, was a lady named Brooke Kennedy, who is now the executive producer of The Good Wife that's shooting in New York.
Wow, yeah.
So interesting. And you directed Scott Bakula, too, in Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leaps.
Also, you did some episodes of Star Trek Enterprise, didn't you? With him?
I did a couple of those. Because Scotty was over there, I went over to try it out. It was a little bit strange.
But
I'm so far in outer space anyway as a normal guy that
well, you had
redundant to do
You had the experience on Battlestar Galactica with Nancy, I would think,
That was different. That was pure romance.
Let's talk a little bit about The Good Wife. That's Nancy's favorite show.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. I just finished an episode, just turned it in, and talked to Robert King yesterday about the cut, and it's a joy to work on it. Wonderful actors, really interesting material. The writers, Robert King, I think, is one of those geniuses that are out there that are, he's like the guy who used to do West Wing, extraordinary ability.
Best show on TV.
To create a show and keep it in his head and keep it real, and he's such a bright man. It's exciting to work on.
And what about 24? Because you did some episodes of 24, one of my all-time favorite shows. Second year, what was the intensity like? Well, that set was like locked down, so nobody could know what was going on, right?
It was pretty intense. But I think the key to that show was Kiefer. Kiefer Sutherland. He came to work as Jack Bauer. He got out of the car as Jack. You didn't make small talk with Kiefer around the coffee machine, eating a donut by the craft service table. Kiefer was saving the world when he got out of bed in the morning. He was a very intense
Was
guy.
Steve Kronish on that?
Steve was on it. Yeah, it was fantastic to have Steve around. It was an intense group and a wonderful show. Great camera crew on that show. Rodney Charters and those guys from Canada. They really made the style and they made that show work, in my opinion. And they did extraordinary stories with great actors.
And Bones, you've done Bones, right?
Did a couple of those, and I moved on because they were. It was just I didn't want to go back there.
Buffy. Yeah. What about Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I love Buffy, man. Buffy. I mean, Joss Whedon's one of the great friggin' writers in the history of Hollywood. His stuff is so fantastic. And it was another one. It was just totally unique and fascinating to work on, and I'm so grateful I got a chance to work on that.
So your real home base, though, is NCIS, isn't it?
Well, now, yeah. I mean, I've been with those guys. Don. That's a Don connection, Larry, that you know about.
Yeah, right.
I did all those Quantum Leaps for Don. When I first started directing for Don, it was on Quantum Leap, and we got to, I just loved doing that show, and he seemed to like what I was doing, so I did a bunch of those deals. And then when after that he put me on, we did a pilot. The pilot you and I did together that died of deaths of natural death and miserable death. And then Don did Jag, and Don and I had such a tough experience together on the pilot that I figured I shouldn't work with Don because I really liked Don, and when I worked with him, I wanted to take his life, So it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not going to work with this guy anymore. I'm just going to try to be his friend. And he kept calling. And then what happened was I was doing 24, and the style of 24 was very similar to what he was trying to do with NCIS.
Oh.
A lot of moving cameras, a lot of a lot of coverage, a lot of movement of the camera, like we were doing on 24. So Mark Horowitz, the producer, called me up and said, "Hey, come on over and do one of these, would you?" And I did, and I fell in love with Harmon and a lot of the guys, George Torres and all the old crew guys were there. So I mean, it was like coming home for me, and I've been there ever since. That was 9 years ago.
We're talking with James Whitmore Jr.
Been on 9 years already.
Yeah, when you work with a show like that, did they divide up the episodes and say, hey, we're going to give you this episode and this, and then you get the episode and you read through it and you figure out how you're going to block it or whatever?
Yeah,
how does it work?
Yeah, what they do is they got 4 or 5 guys now that they use all the time. And, I'll do 4. The Dennis Smith will do 4. Tommy, oh, God, Wright will do 4. And the guys that are around, and we always, and they just split them up. So you end up getting your script and you go to work. And that's the way it works.
How far ahead are the scripts given to you, Jimmy?
Oh, my God, you get them when you show up.
Oh, there you go.
If you're lucky.
A lot of prep time.
So nothing's changed there.
No. And, of course, the thing I want to say is that NCIS is the most popular scripted show on television today.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it gets more and more popular every year. And then we did a spin-off from that I was involved in creating with oh God, I'm getting the Alzheimer's here.
Oh, you mean
the NCIS LA?
Yeah.
Which is now the second most popular scripted show on television.
Really?
So it's pretty crazy. It's kind of a phenomenon what's going on over there between Don, Shane Brennan. Now they got Gary Glassberg running the NCIS show. I mean, they've had some amazingly creative, talented people working that stuff, and the audience loves the shows.
Anything with a C in it, I think, is the magic thing.
I think so. But these guys, these shows, a lot of people sort of lump them together, but they're very different than the CSI shows. CSI was pure procedural, very interesting, very dynamic, and dramatically done. These shows are the LA show is pure action, and it's like Lethal Weapon or something.
Yeah.
NCIS is funny character stuff that the audience just loves.
Yeah, the characters are so well defined.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, can we hold on one more second because we got to find out about the
We got to
theater.
know about your theater. Just hang in there for another break.
You got it.
And then we'll talk about the theater. And what else do you want to talk about? You want to?
I want to talk. I also just
don't smut with my friend.
we already almost went there earlier. That's fine. We're okay. We're fine.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the unit also because I know he directed some.
You just did smut again.
I'm sorry. We're going to come back.
That's the name of a show.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Would you please take it easy? Jeez. All right, I know where your mind is today, Manetti. We'll take a break and come back with more. The unit. Thank you so much. All right, the great James Whitmore Jr. is with the Manettis on CRN. We'll be back.